it's Jen Suzuki, and I'm in the industry. I meet some of the greatest leaders out there, dealer execs, dealers, GMs, and I'm bringing them in the studio to talk to me about what's making their business pop, what's accelerating their growth. I'm sharing my own personal strategies for your sales teams, so I'm ready to get after it. Are you? Well, welcome back, listeners. Jeff Ramsey is with us today. He's a variable operations director for Ourismen Automotive Group. You know, they got like 18 stores, Jeff?
Yeah, so I oversee Robert Ourismen's stores, which there's 18 locations. We just
Okay.
bought our 18th location in Newark, Delaware, a super store. So quickly
Excellent.
growing. Yeah.
But I'll say I see your name all the time because I work in your area a lot, and it's great to see you guys growing, and I'm sure that comes with its challenges too. I really was hoping to have you on because you've got so many different brands, so many different stores, and you're seeing sales process evolve. You're seeing leveraging technology in the stores, and I'm sure it's tough to do on an enterprise level. At the same time, you're probably challenged with the same stuff a lot of people are right now. Is we are really trying to get that sales process tight and right because we've come off a time now where, now we've got inventory and it's a dogfight and everybody's fighting for that customer. So we want to stand out. So I'm curious, your insights, and want to target these three areas, but just want to give you a warm welcome and thank you for your time and your insights today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I've followed you for a while. This is, there's always great insight on, the content you put out there. So looking forward to this convo.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, tell us maybe a little about you. So I've read it. I've read a little of your come up, and personally, it's near and dear to me because you started off as a salesperson. You've worked your way up through all the roles. You're in a corporate position now, and that really was my life story. You're much younger than me. When I was your age, these are some of the things that I was doing, and maybe you could share a little intel on your come up and how you got in the biz.
Sure. So my family actually owned a Ford store. So I grew up in the auto industry. He owned a Harley dealership before that. So I watched my dad as in purchasing businesses, and he he was the majority owner, but had a partner that ran it. And so I grew up in stores, and then when I was 21, it was hey Jeff, time to get a real job, and I started selling cars.
Yeah.
So when I got into it in like '06, '07, the internet started to take off. People aren't even talking about like Google paid search budgets or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I was the guy in the store that they're like, hey, he knows how to send an email. He knows how to fix a computer, which I mean, I kind of do, but it was more just like turning things on and off and just like resetting, the internet or something along those lines. And I looked like a genius, but I got put into, it was as that digital role kind of evolved, I was always kind of in it from the beginning. So you could see where, you have different third party packages where you're looking at all kinds of different items in them. It's not just about like, hey, just put your car on and pay. It's you start looking at pricing and your merchandising and comments. And so I grew up through, I came up along the way there, just started in sales and then into internet and into an operational role. And then there was a need for more, I guess. And there was a dealer group that was local to me that I grew up around that gave me a huge opportunity. I hadn't really taken on multiple stores before, and I got, a digital opportunity, internet opportunity there, marketing, and really over the course of 5 years, went to a chief marketing officer role. The business grew. It was a huge learning experience for me, and from there it was like, okay, same issue I was running into years ago. I want more. And Ourismen, I was having conversations with them, and I got to know initially the COO, Ed Wheaton, and then the CEO and the support pieces here. And it's like, okay, they're growing. I entirely trust these individuals where I believe what they're telling me is real. I'm going to give it a shot. And, you at times like that, it's like, I feel like I'm capable of it, but time to find out for sure. So
no better way than just jump in.
Yeah, so it's been good so far, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the challenge.
Mm,
And it's totally different. You go from as you're making your way up the ranks. It's like, okay, I dealt with one or two stores, and then it went to the
mhm,
previous dealer group. It was 9 rooftops,
mm,
including their used locations, but it's all on one campus. So you're dealing with
okay.
one geo, it's a little it's challenging, but when you get to a group where it's 18 locations and you're in Virginia,
Everything's
you
spread
got
out.
like 16 locations across Maryland. Now we have a store in Delaware.
Oh,
And each store, you have all these different brands,
mhm.
different communities, different customers, different employees, different general
Different
managers.
leaders.
And to do great work, you have to really
Mm,
in a corporate structure, you have to find some balance of like here's the guidelines, but for those stores to truly succeed, you have to differentiate yourself,
mm,
um, and find ways to connect to your customer base. Your employees are all going to be different. They're
mhm,
representations of the community, and you don't say like, well, this is Ourismen, this we do things this way, and it's this cut and dry deal. It doesn't work.
mm.
Customers don't connect with that. So yeah, I mean that's it's a challenge, but it's fun. I don't sleep a ton, but thankfully I never really have. But it's been great so far. I really enjoy it.
We're young, you're learning as much as you can. You're always
Yeah,
looking for that next level. I love all of this. And I love that you're like a hybrid. You've got experience on the sales, boots on the ground, in the trenches, and now from a lead gen marketing standpoint, you've got all of this under your belt as well. And so I think we can squeeze both sides today. And I'm really encouraged to hear some of the progressive strategies that maybe you've put into play. There's certainly a lot of challenges that we're seeing in the dealerships. I think a lot of people are trying to reinvent themselves. Some people
mhm.
say we got to go back to selling the way we did pre-COVID. I'm like, no, we don't. Let's not ever go back
Yeah,
there. We need to be like 10 steps ahead. We always needed to be. And
yeah.
so there's a lot of things that I would say are missing in 24 strategies for selling. What would you say some of the things that are these dark holes that we need to we need to get on the brighter side of things? What would you say they are? What would you target?
Well, I look at kind of pre-COVID, old car business kind of way of doing things, and it's like leads, conversion. You're looking at just a conversion rate. These very simple KPIs that can be manipulated, that can be adjusted to where it's like, are we making an Excel spreadsheet look really good? Are we
Mhm.
grossing a lot of money for the store and creating more customers for the store?
Mhm.
And I've always leaned towards, I don't care what the Excel sheet looks like. I want more customers. I want more gross. Stop trying to manipulate the data.
Mhm.
Let's just, if you do the right things enough times, it all takes care of itself. So
Mhm.
right now, customers, they want real answers. They want to see a real price. They want to see the vehicle. They want to stay excited about the vehicle. And if they put an inquiry in, and you just get a templated email, just sends out, doesn't do anything. It's like,
Mm.
this is the old school. This is the worst way of doing things.
Mm.
All right. So then it's like, hey, maybe your CRM has a text function, but if someone inquires on a car and then you see it, you take a couple minutes, go out, find the car, you do a video, you take a video of it, say,
Mhm.
hey, the car's right here. The miles, you verify like this is it. The miles are this. Hey, the price is this. They're contacting you these days. If it's on a used car, new car, they're contacting you, they've compared prices.
For sure.
It's rare to where they're like, hey, I just trust you. I'm just going to buy a car. Like everyone's done their research.
Yeah.
So verify the details, get them excited, but like getting video in front of the
Mhm.
customers, communicate with them
Mhm.
how you would communicate, how you'd want to be communicated with. What would get you excited about the car? Uh, a lot of customers don't like phone calls,
Huh.
and I do believe like you get to a point to where it's like you build their trust and you have that call and you're getting information, but connecting with them to where they
Mhm.
want to answer the phone,
Mhm.
text them
Mhm.
and utilize the CRM to connect the customer
Mhm.
to get that soft interest. So when you ring through, they see the
Mhm.
number, they recognize it, they answer, you
Mhm.
can make progress.
Mhm.
But Yeah, like an old way of doing things, it's just like looking at, well, how quick can I send my email?
Agreed.
How yeah,
How do I
it's
stop
like
the clock?
how do I stop the clock? It's like, why? When my manager yells at me if I don't stop the clock, I'm like, well, they really get angry when we stop selling cars. So
Yeah.
let's figure out what happens when we sell them. What do we need to change to increase the real closing rate to get people in the door? So
Mhm.
really, like today, you use current technology, use
Yeah.
video, text,
Okay.
use the way that people are used to talking to others.
Yeah,
So
I'm with you on this, and I think what you're saying is that there's a period of time where, if you just rely on calling customers, and I think you're talking about internet leads right here, that
yeah,
they're not all going to pick up the phone. They don't want to talk to you at right off the jump. Not everybody's available. They're maybe still doing the research. I think we found that in the data that a lot of these people aren't even in market at this moment. So why would they pick up the phone? They're not ready to talk to a salesperson. But everything that you do can lead up to them wanting to pick up your call when you do
yeah,
reach out. So the video becomes such a critical piece to first impressions, to showcasing what you can do for people, and really trying to initiate some level of trust, confidence, and engagement at the same time. But that you're leveraging text as well, to showcase. Again, I'm guessing, and I'd love to hear more about what you think it needs to go in these texts. Are these questions? Are these just like statements? A lot of times I see like these canned, texts. I'm sure you
yeah,
hate those. I hate
yeah.
them too.
I'm
And
not a
and it's
fan.
just like, hey, thank you for your inquiry. I'm like, literally nobody even says inquiry. Like, where did you get this word?
Correct. I think inquiry is used more from car dealers than like people outside the car dealership. Just the averages. I think we probably have 90% of market share on that word. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, with text, it's like communicate with others how you'd want to communicate with people around you.
Hey, what's
Like
going on? I see that you're checking out some
yeah,
cars online.
personalize it, make it seem like
There
you're
you
a
go.
real individual because it's funny. Like people are kind of thrown off, I find, by calls, something like that, out of the blue call. Well, we all are.
Hmm.
But if
It's a
you
car
have no
dealership.
energy in it, yeah, but if you have no energy and you call them and it's like, hey, let's say they finally did want to talk to you and then they talk to like the worst individual in the store. Congratulations, you've talked them out of not wanting to do business with you.
Mm.
And a lot of times you do run into issues where it's like, guys, your job today was to not screw up, to not screw the deal
You
up.
had one job. No.
Yeah, it's like you found a way to drive the customer to another store.
Mm.
And that's where the engagements you have with customers, they're everything. Like if you can't just check off boxes.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
are meaningful
Yeah.
conversations. And now you look at like how AI is starting to integrate into things.
Mhm.
And so yeah, if you shift towards like a different business, like if you're working in a plant and like your job's to go out, just connecting wires on something. It's like you connect these two wires, connect these two wires, connect these two
Mhm.
wires, and you're just doing that 4,000 times in a day. You're gonna go nuts.
Totally.
So if your job is to make 4,000 phone calls in a day,
Mhm.
you have no energy. You have no effort. So it's like how right now it's like how can we utilize AI
Yeah.
to do the brainless tasks
Yeah.
and then keep us excited when we have to engage with the customer.
Okay, on that topic. So, I'm with you on this. Lead fatigue is a real thing,
Mhm.
and I do think we have to mash up, even call blocks. I'm doing call blocks in a lot of our stores, with various lead lists, and, this kinda keeps the energy level high, along with other things too, but I agree that you gotta bang out 4,000 phone calls, believe me, you're, like, having the worst day of your life at the end of that day. After lunch. Things are
Yeah.
going south. Um, but you mentioned AI, and I agree with you. So I'm gonna throw this strategy at you, and you tell me what you think about this. And tell me if you're even doing something like this. So when my dealer clients ask me, about follow up, I'm like, look, you got your best players out there, your salespeople that you're counting on. You got them, tasked with following up long term. That's not realistic. I've been there. I don't want to follow up with ghosts. That doesn't sound like a fun day. You can only do so much of this, which is hence why the BDC became such a pivotal role, because they
Mhm.
would do some long term. But I mean, look, our BDCs, they're people too. It's like, I want them to bang their head against the wall and blow out of here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to focus on employee retention, so AI comes comes to the scene, and it's been around for a while. And I was using tools like Conversica,
Mhm.
to really get in there and to continue to nudge. So what I have started doing recently, tell me what you think, is that now I have the salespeople handling first 3 days. And then our BDC is coming in, and because we have people that are gonna be within the first 30 days. I'm trying to reach that
Mhm.
that small group of people right there. But after that, I've got AI kicked on, so that they're doing longer term follow up with still prompts for BDC to pop back in every so often. I don't know what you think, but I say 30 days, because a lot of these people are after 120 days. At 120 days, I'm like, all right, the rest of
Yeah.
this thing, let's put it back in the hands of our BDC, and continue to keep our salespeople on those first 3 days. What do you think?
I like it. The only thing I'd adjust is when I still think I kind of think putting customers into buckets of days is something that is evolving.
Okay.
And so we put them in, let's say, what if we looked at them as engaged customers
Hmm.
and disengaged?
Hmm.
If a customer is engaged,
Hmm.
then even if like over the course of 10, 10 days,
Yeah.
that one stays in a certain group. But the issue we run into now is go into your CRM, find your engaged customers. And
Hmm.
someone's like, well, I can look at emails. I can, from the CRM needs to support finding an engaged customer. Yeah. And that's where, unfortunately, the tech hasn't quite, automotive tech is not always there. I know we're switching to a CRM, Drive Centric, that
Excellent.
labels engaged
Hmm.
customers. And
Hmm.
it tells you, like, these are the people we need to keep up with. Like, they've been talking to you within the last 3 days.
Hmm.
And so when the initial lead comes in, unfortunately, with some of the tech that's out there now,
Hmm.
you do have to structure it into a 1 to 3 day and then move on.
Hmm.
That is the most effective way to do it. But a big issue I run into now, it's like, where's the current tech that supports us? And
Engaged.
yeah, and
Hmm.
helps us find the customers that we really need to talk to. Because when
Hmm.
you're at the sales tower
Hmm.
and you're yelling it out to your sales staff, like, "Hey, it's dead. Go make 20 phone calls." Well, I can find 20 people to call.
Hmm.
I'll knock it out in 34 seconds because it's
Hmm.
going to be ring voicemail, ring voicemail.
Right.
But let's find 20 good people to call.
Yeah.
It's finding those engaged customers. But
Hmm.
if you're looking at where the tech and structure is not necessarily there to work to keep track, to put customers in buckets, to where lead scoring doesn't exist, you
Yeah.
have to 1 to 3 days. I do like that idea.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. And what did you think about, like, having more long-term AI? Really, AI's main function is longer term, ghosts.
Yeah. So I you can't. I gotta watch how I say this. Um, you really can't trust people to follow up with customers. Really, I mean, once you get to even a week, it's yeah, I'm getting nervous.
I
And
agree.
so when you go into, it's like, hey, do you want to have a bad day? Go into your CRM, pull up every lead that's come in. Focus on days 3 to 10. You'll
Mhm.
you'll find a million reasons to throw something against the wall.
Mhm.
But where AI assists, and I do
Mhm.
believe where AI is struggling in automotive is automotive's misunderstanding of what AI is actually supposed to do.
Mhm.
It's not press a button and you just
It's
sit there
supposed
and
to
wait
do
for
your job
customers
for
to come
you,
in.
set your appointments, and sell your cars?
Yeah, it's a support piece, and
Right.
it's a monitored
Yeah.
support piece. That's the AI that exists for car dealers.
Mhm.
So AI following up over time, I love. I think
Mm.
that's where it makes sense
Mhm.
because let's say your manager comes in, gets the updated sales report, the updated rebates come out. We have OEMs that change rebates every 4 days sometimes.
Mhm.
So it's like that price gets updated. Do your
Mhm.
salespeople go out and then call every single one of those customers, say, "Hey, we got another $500"? No, but
Mhm.
the AI can see, it can see the drop in the price, contact the customer. So they've got some systems that do it with email.
Mhm.
Now we're seeing it where they can do it right through text,
Yes.
create that chat, fueled by like a chat GPT.
Yes.
It creates that conversation.
Hits them with a
You get
question.
that yeah, and then once the customer's like, "Okay, well, now I have a
Mhm.
trade-in, I have a credit question," they're like, "No
Mhm.
problem, I gotta get you someone that can answer it." Well, then
Mhm.
that conversation pops up.
Yeah.
That's where where the customer
Mhm.
or the employee jumps in and can help.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
that's how this gets better. It's like so many missed opportunities in there, customers left behind, questions not answered.
Mhm.
That's how we get better.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, so I use a lot of these AI tools. I've used them for years. Which one are you using, or which one do you recommend?
So I'm still learning to trust AI.
Okay.
Uh, so
That's fair.
uh, the and it's because it's such an abused term. I think they used to call it like a suitcase term. Like
Mhm,
there's so many things that fit inside of it that people are like, oh, my product's AI. Okay,
mhm.
well, explain it to me. Well, I can't really explain it.
With you.
Uh, yeah, so products. So like we've used Four Eyes, which
Yep.
does email retargeting to let
Mhm,
customers know when the vehicle they've looked at has sold, when it's changed prices. We've used Full Path, which has
mhm,
done a pretty darn good job. Within Drive Centric, that
mhm.
one, and I keep saying Drive Centric, but I'm like, I pay them, they don't pay me. So at some point, they got to help me out on all these plugs. But so
Mhm.
uh, their CRM involves so much AI. Like that's the entire premise of it. It's like it's today's CRM.
Yes.
So it offers video. You can send
Right.
like sending video with essentially Snapchat filters, Instagram filters.
Yes.
Like but then the AI piece of it, it'll engage your customers constantly. You can set it if you just want it done after hours. That's one I really do like. We have
Mhm.
seen where they do an incredible job, and they have another product we're testing out where it's you know how many times did your customer come in for an oil change, have a birthday, have a vehicle
Mhm.
anniversary, have something? It's like,
Mhm.
oh, go call your birthday customers. No one does. I don't care what anyone tells me.
Yeah, I
If they say
agree.
they call all of them, they're a liar.
Mhm.
No one does it.
Yeah.
So now, within Drive, they have a product that we're getting ready to test that does that. That it
Mhm.
sends all those conversations and
Mhm.
hey, hope your service was good. Just hope everything's going well. Appreciate you being a customer. So that's one that's done pretty well for us. Um, and another one is last one is Bite Size is a great
Mhm.
company that they do text marketing.
Yes.
And I think they're newer, but a great company. Yeah, we've seen tremendous engagement there.
Well, okay. Well, thank you for that because, everything keeps evolving. It's hard to stay up on all of these things and you try things out and everyone's got their pros and cons, just like CRM companies too. So we're talking a little AI for follow up and I love it's a hybrid, it's a team action. This is like, it's like a colleague, that's really trying to
Mhm.
poke around and find you some gold, but you got to jump in there when the customers react. We need a human jumping on that when they do their job of bringing up the, get stirring the pot,
Yeah,
finding
I've
something
I've
alive.
I've told people it's like a metal detector. You're at the beach, you're running around, it's scanning. It beeps. When it beeps, it doesn't just tell you where the gold is, where the metal
Great
is. You
analogy.
need to dig.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's
you're gonna have to
that's
pick
the
it up.
purpose of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I talk a little bit about AI using ChatGPT,
Mhm.
in sales process. So when that human does jump into the equation, a lot of times we have salespeople that. And I'm curious to see what percentage of your salespeople joined, during the last few years where business has been unusually different. Very good, very exciting. I can't
Yeah.
wait to get that back. But anyway, and I say, look, I mean, if I'm going to teach new people how to engage customers via text, they don't know how to do that.
Mhm.
They're going to leave basic messages. Are you still in the market? Okay, well now that's a little aggressive. Might be a little pushy. Wrong question, wrong person. But
Yeah.
can I find something that's a little bit more engaging? Like, um, you know, has your search criteria changed since the last time we spoke? I would say something like this. But ChatGPT is really good for coming up with engaging questions. That's what I use it for with text and in helping salespeople kind of see that you can come up. You don't have to come up with everything. I mean, look, this thing
Yeah.
come up with things on a more personalized level. And if I have a customer that already bought from us before, I'm going to let that ChatGPT know this is an existing customer. And I want to appreciate their loyalty in the message that you provide. Give me 10 options to re-engage somebody who was in the market 2 months ago, still considering. I want to see if I can get them in the store. Boom, 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 boom. How do you use it? Or how do you think that salespeople or managers should be using it today to create more efficiency?
Well, uh, So ChatGPT, it exists within, you can create an account, you can log into ChatGPT, ask it questions,
Mhm,
and it'll give you answers.
mhm,
And you're 100% correct. It gives you great ideas. It
mhm,
gives tremendous ideas. I love when I see people, they're like, "No, I don't really need it. I know how to do this." It's
mhm.
like, well, you don't know what you don't know. So ask it a question, and then
Facts.
it gives you a lot of different ideas.
Mhm.
It's like we have a social media team here, and so they're writing captions,
Yes.
and then we go and look. I'll look at like, "Hey, have you thought about trying this caption out?" I've sent that before, and it's like, "Okay, we can try that out." I'm like, "Well, I just typed into ChatGPT. I couldn't have come up with that because I'm car dealership destroyed. Like my brain is structured in a way that's kind of closed. I need someone else to
That's
say,
what I'm
here's some great
saying.
ideas."
Yes.
So it works well where how can you integrate it more? Use technology that integrates it actually into it. Like it's
Mhm.
like it is easy to say, well, ChatGPT is available. Well, yeah, but I've got to go to this different screen, log in.
Right, I gotta copy and
So
paste. Yeah.
correct. So that's I'm gonna call it drive centric
That's
after this
probably
and be like,
why
I got
that's probably why you like Drive Centric, because it's already integrated in
well,
there.
it's integrated, and that's
Yeah.
I'm calling them after and being like, "You guys got 200 shout outs. I'm done with this."
Well, I'll
No,
give 'em a
they
shout
but
out too,
they
because they got those GIFs and memes in there too, and the other
yeah, no,
CRMs don't have them accessible like that.
but it has a button where
Yeah.
you can just push it and it generates the response,
Yeah.
and it's look at it, read it, make sure it's tailored how you want it to be, make sure it
I
didn't
can
give the
edit.
customer like 10 grand off and you can't give that. But you know, that's where it's used the best is where it's
Mhm.
integrated and it's you don't have to go through all these copy and paste steps and everything else.
Agree, but you use it for something similarly, it sounds like. You use it to come
Uh,
up with ideas. You use it to,
oh, all the time.
yeah, and this is what I suggest to salespeople too, because I think you mentioned this earlier. You're like, templates, really? Auto responses? What during
Yeah.
business hours? Um, but I always say, like people want personalized experiences, and
Yeah.
sometimes our salespeople aren't. They're not. I mean, you can only come up with so much stuff, you know. And ChatGPT, every time I use it, I'm like, you got me.
Yeah.
I've been doing this a long time. I always think I got the right idea, but then there's chat. Where'd you get that? Okay. Creating, more human-like emails that are more professionally written, that have
Hmm.
a call to action. I just tell it the structure, I tell them the details of the internet lead. I just read it off to ChatGPT. Here's what I'm
Yeah.
reading. Give me 3 sentences with a call to action that makes this customer feel welcomed and that we're here to help, and boom, 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 boom. And I give me more, give me more, give me more. But I
Yeah.
feel like this is an unused technology that's been on the market for over a year now, and it's free to everybody. Why aren't we using it?
Well, and we were talking about old tech or the old school way of doing things versus now, right? So if you put up two emails and
Mhm.
one is a beautiful, an HTML based or, just it's coded to show photos and
Yeah.
prices and all this, there's a million different
Whew,
things on
it
it.
already sounds
And
like
then
a
you
lot.
put up an email, you put up an email that says, "Hey, customer name, I'm the general manager here. My name is Joe. My direct cell is this. We got 3 days left in the month. I want to personally help you upgrade your vehicle. I've got savings that expire literally in 3 days. That's my real cell number. Text me."
Oof.
It's short. It's gonna be read
Yeah.
in the first line of this. In the first line, when you're looking at your phone, it gives you that preview. You're seeing the employee name. Sometimes you can even get the cell phone number in there. And the
Mhm.
employee opens it. They click to call. They text. So, but you hold that email up, that simple, simple email that's up there, and then you hold up that beautiful email to the left. One will not get looked at, and one gets deleted, or that gets deleted, and the other one gets engagement, creates conversations.
Mhm.
The secret to everything right now. It's still the question's still the same. Create
Mhm.
more conversations. Get
Mhm.
people on the phone. Get them in the store. Get them in text. We want to create a conversation.
Mhm.
So, like with ChatGPT, that is one that we should be using for more ideas. But I still feel like auto is way behind, and you see more people sending these giant, giant emails with all these graphics and all this craziness on it. It's like if you just introduced yourself and
Yeah.
put your cell phone number in it, you send it to your active customers, send it to not even send it to your people that haven't bought a car, submitted a lead in the last 30 days.
Mhm.
Your phone's going to ring off the hook.
Mhm.
I've done that to people, to
Mhm.
to GSMs, to GMs. and not told them, but I knew it was going to work.
Mhm.
And then I got a text that was like, "When I see you, I'm going to shove you against the wall because my phone won't stop ringing, but I want to hug you." And because they're so because it creates all these customer engagements,
Mhm.
but it does create madness for about 20 minutes.
Mhm. That's okay. We need that.
Yeah.
So what else have you found that really works that you've been messing around with, and maybe has even been a game changer for you guys?
Uh, for for me, I would say from an advertising
Mhm.
strategy, um, a focus of we look at a lot of times a focus of a conversion and did they submit a lead? Did they make a phone call? When
Mhm.
that's you think about how many times, even when you're looking for a cheaper item, that it's like looking at shoes, looking at anything. You look at it a few times before you hit buy or call or whatever. So it's adjusting the goal. And
Uh-huh.
instead of the goal of being like, hey, I'm only advertising to people because I want phone calls and leads.
Mhm.
Like, well, I'm advertising to people because I want purchases. So my goal is not necessarily leads and phone calls. My goal is to return them to my site. Once they're in that buying process, is the advertising set up to return them every week until they're ready to buy? So if
Mhm.
it takes them 6, 7 weeks, if it waits until maybe they're waiting for a paycheck a certain bonus check to come in for their car to find, they're like, I think my car is going to explode any minute, and then it breaks. You're the person they call.
Mhm.
So for me, it was adjusting the expectation and then setting up campaigns to return people to your site as
Mhm.
opposed to just forcing conversions. So that's been something for me that for the last couple of years that's been a game changer.
And so are you talking about more of a redirect marketing campaign?
It's so focusing a lot on branding, on it's bringing in. So let's say customer A comes to your site, they look at a car,
Okay.
and then they don't convert.
Uh-huh.
So how do
Right.
we get them to keep coming back?
Yeah.
So then you keep putting that car in front of them, so they
Mhm.
continue to come back.
Hold
And
on. So do you mean that now you're following them, so now you're serving it up an ad on the sites that they're visiting? That car, you're
correct,
serving it up on the sites that they're visiting post being on your website.
and
Okay.
in their social media,
Okay.
to the
And where
places
else?
that they. Yeah, so and you can even do TikTok. You can put it in front of them to all the places they go.
Mhm.
Amazon does a great job of it,
Yes.
uh, but it's like you have to focus a good portion of your budget on keeping the customers engaged, and then you cycle in some branding messages as
Mhm.
well. So
Mhm.
they're like, I'm not sure if I want to buy. They're still figuring out what dealers they want to go to.
Mhm.
Well, then they see a couple branding messages and why buys, and they're like, okay, I'm choosing Ourismen because
Mhm.
Ourismen guarantees my engine for a lifetime when I buy from them, and the guy down the street just gives me the factory warranty.
Can I just pause real quick? So are you saying that instead of focusing the efforts on buying more leads, that you're focusing more of your budget on the people that are visiting your site and basically following them
Yeah, no,
around until
yeah,
yeah.
it's like it's nurturing that lead. It's working with the lead to keep them
Mhm.
coming back because
Yeah.
if you only focus on getting the customer when they're ready to hit buy,
Mhm.
that will be the lowest grossing deal in your
Mhm.
store. They
Mhm.
selected buy. It's not COVID. It's not because you have the piece of metal.
Mhm.
It's because it was the cheapest piece of metal.
Mhm.
So when they keep coming back to your store and you can cycle in those Y buys, every time you do that and every time they come back to you, you're building up a couple $100 in the deal.
Okay. Okay. So we know that a lot of the internet leads, and I hope you would agree, and tell me if I'm wrong too, because things change. Uh, they're not a huge portion of them are not in market within
Yeah,
the first 30 days.
correct.
And but the people that do hit you up are in your web, and now we can remarket to them. And that's a
Mhm.
better idea than maybe even stalking, on all of this templated follow-up, but maybe be more present in the areas that they're visiting and spending time on, Instagram, TikTok,
Mhm.
whatever, car sites that they're doing their research. So their early phases, they you forced them into hitting that button so they could see a price. You forced them into that
Yeah.
form. They didn't want to, and now their phone's blowing up. But now you're thinking about a drip campaign that is more brand building, more value building, maybe
Mhm.
more even just showing them the car again.
Mhm.
That's
It
what you're
gets them
saying.
to fall in love with the vehicle. Helps it become that fun emotional decision
Okay.
that we want. So,
Mhm.
yeah, and that's buying a car should be fun. You shouldn't feel like, oh my god, I could have gotten another $22 off. I made the worst deal of my life. Help them fall in love with the vehicle,
Mhm.
and all these mass templates and all that does is get you spammed, unsubscribed, and disengaged.
Uh-huh.
And so, if you're not strategic, if you're not putting effort into it,
Mhm.
you end up with this limited audience that's probably not even looking at their inbox anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, but you would so I know it's like a fine line here. I like what you're saying because I'm a total advocate of this. I've been screaming this for some time because I feel like the old school is like buy or die, beat them down.
Yeah,
You are going to get a spiff when they say you called me too much. And I'm like, okay, we
yeah.
need to calm down.
I've been there. I've been that
Me
guy,
too.
and it's like now it's changed a little bit because like if you can't you can't. I'm trying to think of the right word, but like you can't like force someone into buying a car. Like you
Yeah.
can't just like abuse their phone so much. They're like, fine, I'll just stop calling me. I'll just buy.
Mhm.
It doesn't
Mhm.
exist. There's too many dealers around, and there's too many options where they don't even have to go into the store. Let's say it
Mhm.
is someone. I don't think it makes up a huge portion of the business. Like if someone's like, I'm just done with talking to the car dealers. You can
Mhm.
complete the whole deal online and go to one of the competitors that I
Mhm.
won't mention. So,
Okay. So shifting gears here real quick.
mhm.
I feel like I already chewed up a lot of the time on that, but I think you got some real good takeaways in here that, I think people need to hear because it's like we got to shake up everybody. It's like, come on, get
Mhm.
with it. Things have changed. You have to be willing to step outside the box. You got to be willing to challenge yourself and the old ways of doing business and really try new stuff. Listen to people that are, more progressive, that are willing to take the risk, and let's see what happens. But we don't know what's going to happen unless we give it a try. But
Mhm.
shifting gears over to the salespeople, this is a big contentious point for people. I've dealt with a ton of salespeople today, and I was actually really surprised. We were doing handling objections, and I had about 10 of them I was going to run through. I only got to 3 because we
Mhm.
had to run through the plays so many times. Whereas I'm like, oh, that's right, I'm seasoned. Oh, that's right, I've been doing this
Yeah.
forever. Oh, that's right, I'm doing these calls every day, so it's top of mind. But I'm reminded all the time that our generation of salespeople today really don't know how to provide a great customer experience, how to manage, lead handling, how to handle those phone
Mhm.
calls, what to send in text messages, what to shoot in those videos. Sometimes I show them videos. Even Steve Rossler at Drive Centric, we're just blowing them up today. Has sent me some really great videos from,
Yeah.
that get a lot of engagement, and I'm like, I use them in my classes. I'm like, psh. And when people see them, they're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. I could have fun on it. I'm like, yo, you got to be
Yeah.
having fun, okay? Because don't take this too serious. People don't like that. That's not the world we
Correct.
live in. We're in a world of gifts and memes.
No, I agree. And I was at an OEM meeting a couple months ago, and they said, based off their data, because like with an OEM, when you have a new employee, they're entered into the system,
Mm,
so they can track all the dates as to if they've been with an OEM before, if it's a transfer, if it's a net new ad. And their assumption, their based off their numbers, was over 50% of staff right now, sales staff,
mhm.
do not know anything about sales prior to COVID.
Wow, that's a lot.
And it's a ton. And so when you look at that and you're like, wait, we're getting to a point where it's not, pre-COVID, things have changed.
Yeah.
Work ethic is different. It takes more work to get a customer in the car. You
Mhm,
need to personalize it more. There's tweaks that come along with it
mhm.
that help you find more success post-COVID. But the effort and work that goes into to getting a customer to buy a car, to getting them to trust you, to invest in the vehicle,
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and
Mm,
a lot of people are like, wait,
I
I
have to
gotta
do all
call
that?
in day 3, and I'm like, yeah, don't worry, it gets worse. Like, there's a lot of
Yeah.
work you're gonna have to do.
Uh-huh.
So right now, I think it's kind of separating the professionals from the amateurs
Mm,
and finding out who is willing to work for the sale.
mhm.
The positive thing is it's still the auto industry. You can still work hard, and if you do work harder than everyone else and do it the right way, you will make more money than anyone else.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's where I think people are seeing shifts in their commission checks.
Mhm,
However, you're going to see that big separation
mhm,
of people willing to work, people not willing to work, and those that are willing to put in the effort and learn,
mhm,
they will be financially rewarded
mhm.
heavily.
Yeah, but how do you approach training people to give them a shot? Because how do we decide? We just leave it up to them, or do we give them the tools and give them a fresh start and say, all right, look, these are our new expectations. I'm going to show you how to do it, and then I'm going to expect the results. Then I'm going to kick you, curb you, if you don't want to work.
Yeah, so I think tracking the data is you have to have something to track it. So
Mm,
right now, and within the CRM, you can go in and see how many videos have been sent, how many were canned videos, how many
mhm,
were personalized. You
mhm,
can also see how many videos were sent at the right time.
mhm.
So when you start tracking things, not based off like gut feelings or thoughts or whatever, you're going in and saying, "Here's the real data,"
Here's the data.
and you're upset that you didn't you sold one car this week. Great.
Yeah,
Well, you had 14 appointments this week. You only sent one video confirmation,
yeah,
and it was a canned response.
yeah.
So go in every appointment. I want you to go in and send a video response.
Mhm,
When you get a lead, send a
mhm,
video response. By the
mhm,
way, here's the data you sent 3,
mhm.
and you had 46 leads this week. And if they say, "Well, I'm just not going to do that," it's like, "Well, I can't help you." But
Right.
hey, if we can track it, and then
Mhm,
we'll measure the results next week.
mhm.
That's where you can create
Okay.
trust and get a belief out of it. But when you're going to have people in auto, it's you have to teach them. Most are taught after they get like a poor result. It's not like, oh yeah, you might be right. Let's try something different. It's like,
Mhm,
shoot,
mhm,
my check was only 1,800 bucks. I'm used to making 10 grand.
mhm.
Great. Do you want to learn? Do you want to change? Yes. Then you can grow.
Okay. So it sounds like you're using some of the, accountability tools to isolate,
Mhm.
weaknesses and maybe use them more for one-on-one. Are you saying that more one-on-one coaching is more valuable and effective than a team training, for example? Not that team training is not important, it does serve its purpose, but I think for what you're saying, are you saying is this a thing?
So I see value for both. So like
Mhm,
within group training, we have that within this group. We've got one of the executive team members goes out and he does new employee like rookie training for salespeople,
mhm,
follow up training, and
mhm,
it's objections on trade, it's objections on buying the car. It's going through everything beginning to end. And then they get out there, they learn a little bit, and then we've got additional training in a group setting to cover. It's like you've been out there for a little while. Let's go through the things that you didn't realize were going to be a problem. Now, one on ones is where you can really get
mhm,
into, hey, let's tweak this.
mhm.
You can look at what they're texting, sending the customers, and you can adjust it. You have to do. I believe it. You need it all.
Yeah, but how frequently can you do that realistically in a store? And who are you putting that whose job is that?
So at a corporate level, so they'll set up trainings and then you can have a training once a week, once every 2 weeks, and then
Mm,
selective on who wants to attend, connect with the
mhm,
GMs, connect with the sales managers and say who should be on this list.
mhm,
Now,
mhm,
in the past, this is one thing I do miss from the previous group was I was able to create a power ranking list. So there are
mhm,
like 110 salespeople, and you're sorting them. It's sorted by who by sold. So at the end of the day, hey, is that's what matters? But then it went on to say how many calls, texts, emails did they send
mhm,
each individual, their how many appointments scheduled, their show
mhm,
rate,
mhm,
and it gave a full view of, and it was green, yellow, red,
mhm,
and it said it gave you your list of who needs improvement. You can look back and see, okay, well, this guy, Joey Joey B has been on this list in the red for 4 months, so we really need to work with him, or maybe it's not the job's not for him.
Mhm.
but there has to be a way to track, everyone and kind of show them where they're at in the group. If not, everyone's like, yeah, I'm not doing too bad.
Yeah, well, everybody likes a competition too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole idea of a leaderboard. So let me see where I need to see where I rank,
Yep.
and nobody wants to be last. Nobody wants to be called out. So I do like that strategy, and maybe there's some other techniques that, in the same lines of being able to train and coach today, that you feel are different than what we've had to do in the past. I mean, I can tell you 100% my training strategy has changed because people are sensitive, and
Hmm.
I used to call people out all the time, listen to their calls, blast them, and you're like, that was weak, and now I'm like, we can't do that. You're gonna
No, yeah, but they quit like halfway through the conversation. So it's yeah, you have to be more sensitive now. You definitely have to adjust in how you approach things, and
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, you're not trying to go out and embarrass someone.
No.
You're trying to make them do a better job, trying to have fun with it too. And sometimes, unfortunately, that leads to where someone's like, "You were picking on me." It's like, no, I thought we were, we're trying to help you be better. We're trying to help coach you along, and unfortunately, you're upset. I'm sorry. And you learn. But but yeah, it's totally different from what it was. I mean, that's where the individualized approach
Yeah, I see what you're
you
saying.
can get through.
Mhm.
Um, you can tweak and go through a bunch of things
Mhm.
without embarrassing the person. I remember it was 15 years ago, and someone's like, "We signed up for recorded calls,"
Mhm.
and our sales meeting on Saturday morning, we're playing a 10 worst that I find, and I was like, oh god, if they play one and I'm on it, I'm out of here. So, but, but it does, back then it did wake us up. We were
Mhm.
like, yeah, we got to do better.
Yeah, so on a store level, if they're gonna do more one-on-one, where how do you see that working? And how frequently do you do it? Or do you see the managers doing it?
Um, how now? Not in the stores all the time. So how often I see the stores
Okay,
doing
so
it?
you're doing
I'm
it
the
from a
son
more
for
of a corporate level.
correct. Well, our team members here are the
Mhm.
we have people on the executive team that's where their heavy focus is on
I'm
is
with you.
training. But
Mhm.
I training and kind of revisiting where you're at is great for everyone. Tiger Woods has a coach. Michael Jordan had a coach. Everyone has coaches. They need to be better.
Yeah.
But it it's automotive. Some people need a lot more training, and I think it goes kind of with if someone's having you attack the biggest fire and um, try to put it out, try to help that person. And so that's where the training begins with your people that are struggling. Taking somebody from selling 20 units to 30
Mhm.
units is harder than taking someone that's selling 4 to 10.
Yeah.
And that's where your training needs to be. If you're in a store and nobody is in that odd range of like 3 to 8 units, I'm shocked. There's always it seems to be a couple, but that's where
Mhm.
a lot of the training goes to.
Mm. But we also need to be focusing on everybody else that, needs to get from
Finding a
20 to
balance.
30. Yeah.
Yeah, finding a balance.
Mm. Well, I really enjoyed this conversation, and I really appreciate you sharing your insights and your actions that you're taking to stay number one. It's a championship fight to
Mhm.
the top right now, and there's a lot of good people out there. But there's also a lot of people that they're missing the mark, and
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot in here for just about everybody. So I really appreciate you, spending the time with me and sharing with their yeah, how you're doing things with people. And I think I always appreciate people that are willing to help somebody else succeed. So
sure. There's a
much
lot of fun. Thank you,
appreciated.
Jen. Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
my pleasure. Well, I hope you have a great day, and I am going to edit this thing and I'll send it over to you and you see what you think.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jen.
All right, take care. If you like these episodes and my sales game techniques, you should snatch up our latest dealer education program I'm hosting. It's called Jen's Remote Classes, and it's a 1 hour, once a week class with me alongside other dealerships all pursuing the same end game to achieve top 10% status in your dealership. For more info, hit me up. All my contact info's in the show notes. I want to hear from you. And follow Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki right now to get notified when episodes like this one drop.
This is Jen on the podcast Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki. See ya!